Everybody, let me take my glasses off because I don't need my glasses to see you because I know you're there. I can feel you in the air. I know you're watching Strong Inspirations. Ain't no reason you not watching this good history, this good Black history that these people that I just happen to find are sharing with us, my brothers and my sisters out there in the world. I had a guy in Italy, black guy, sent me a message. He said, I watch you all the time. I said, where you at? He said, I'm in Italy. I said, oh my God, this thing is going global. And it's the people telling the stories, not me. I just asked a couple questions. You know who I am? I'm Anthony Brogdon. I'm an ordinary guy trying to do extraordinary things. Keep this history alive. A lot of times we say we don't know. Here it is, straight, no chaser, right in your face. I let the people tell. I got a guy on the channel, man. I'm so excited. He decided to come on me. I found his organization somehow. My man, he got people. He got handlers. I had to get my people, which I got none, to call his people, which he got a bunch of, to make this happen. He that good. All right. What I want you to do before I bring him on, I want you to hit the subscribe button to Strong Inspirations. It don't ask no information and it's free. I want you to like this video because my man is going to put it down for you. I watch out. He committed to his cause, which helps other people. I want you to hit the notifications bell. Just because I'm putting 4 or 5 videos up a week and I don't have no set time when I put them up. I got one coming up in the next, let's say before the next 5 hours. I got another one coming up in 5 hours. I want you to hit, you hit the bells and all that stuff. I want you to do this is tell somebody about Strong Inspirations. Just tell it to them. Tell them, say, hey, go to Strong Inspirations on YouTube. You need to know this. And tell some of them other folk who got them funny attitudes about us to watch this, to hear the successes that we've had over the years, despite the odds. The other thing I want you to do, my brothers and my sisters, and you know it is, I'm serious about my game. I like this history. I did a movie about it. It's called Business in the Black, The Rise of Black Business in America. I'm talking about slaves who went to college and black millionaires in the 1800s. Now, hold on. You say, well, dang, how that happen? How they go to college? There were 3 HBCUs open before slavery ended. So who was that? Them black people, them HBCUs. I need to say no more. And others opened the year that slavery ended. Howard had a law school 2 years after slavery ended. Who were them black people? And they had to be, maybe they wasn't themselves slaves, but maybe they were. I talk about it in my movie. Then I wrote this book. Come on now. And oh man, I got a lot of orders last night. Something happened last night. A lot of people ordered it last night. I'm excited. And it's called Black Business Book. I got over 200 facts. It's a lot of what happens in the movie, but it's a little bit more thorough. It's going to blow your mind. And it's going to blow your mind so much so that if you read my book and you don't learn nothing new, I give your money back. You ever heard a book with a money back guarantee? You not satisfied? I give your money back. How about this? Every 10th book I sell, I donate one to a school. Them kids need to know this. You buy 10 books, I donate it to a school in your honor. Your school, whatever you do, however you want me to do it. Our people need to share this. And it's very reasonably priced. Trust me, I don't even tell the price. You're going to be like, whoa, all this for that amount of money? Yeah, because I want you to have it. I know this stuff. I wrote the book. It's called Black Business Book. Both of them are available on Amazon, but you can also just go to my website, which is businessintheblack.net. I mean, the brother's sitting there, he's nodding, he said, I'm ready to go. I got one more thing to say before I bring him on, my friends, and that is, you hear me use this word strong a lot. Strong stands for strength, tenacity, resilience, and a sense of oneness, nobility, and grace. And that's my introduction to my guest today. Come on, brother. Tell us your name. Let's get it on.
Well, I'm Lamont Collins in Louisville, Kentucky. I'm the founder and CEO of Roots 101 African American Museum. The reason I call it Roots 101, because in education, higher education, the first class you take is a 101.
Yep.
And when you come to Roots 101, every exhibit you go to is an educational journey, because we tell the story of the African American journey from the time of leaving Africa to America. And we tell the story 365 days a year.
I love it. Let me ask you just a second. Let me sidebar. How you get to be who you are to do this, man?
Well, you know, I think I came from a strong family. I know I did. History has always meant so much to me as a little Black boy in Louisville, Kentucky. You had to find the narrative to tell who you were so you could get to where you wanted to be. So I learned at a very early age that history was the groundbreaker to supremacy. And people mean, what do you mean by that? Is that when I navigated to an all-white neighborhood, I was like 9 years old. And I think my family dropped me behind enemy lines. That's what I tell them, because, you know, you move kids to the suburbs in the 60s, Black kids, and the parents go to work in order to stay in the neighborhood. So you're there to navigate your life with all these kids that are entitled to history and entitled to their story and never listening to yours. So when I started, you know, I played sports, so I always was the star player and all those things. But I started listening to so many white kids talk about Dizzy Dean being the best baseball player, or Babe Ruth being the best baseball home run hitter. And I would come back and say, no, it's Josh Gibson. Or I would come back and say, no, it's Bob Gibson. Yeah. So I learned at an early age that I could break down this systemic racism by telling our story that they wouldn't take the time to tell. And what I found out is when I told that story, they listened. And when they listened, they started to understand that we were inheriting more than slaves coming to America.
That's right.
We were achieving things during that period in time. So I found at a very young age that I could dismantle so much racism by education.
Did you face a racial issue from the teachers coming there? Because you might have came in there with the, you know, your chest poked out. You proud Black man. They like, hold on, we got to break this brother down.
Well, you know, it could have been going on, because I definitely always been a proud brother, you know, coming from the inner city before we came to the county. But I think if I faced it alone, or if I faced it, I went back and had a discussion with my mother, and what she would always say, and my father would, you know, if I came back and said, well, this white kid said nigga, right? And their reply to me was, what did you say?
Yeah.
So it was always a challenge. Whenever I took something to him, is what did you say?
Right.
And when it became what did you say, it made me go and study what I'm gonna say.
Yeah.
And in like 1969, I was in the 5th grade, I think. I saw a documentary called Lost, Stolen, and Strayed.
Yeah.
One of the baddest documentaries I've ever saw, Lost, Stolen, and Strayed by Bill Cosby. And I tell anybody, go to YouTube and still see that. And in 1969, Bill Cosby started his documentary about Africa and the things Africans were doing long before the Europeans. And he showed Picasso and how Picasso was still in African work. And he showed so much of our art and history that was formed in Africa, never Europe, right? So I'm hearing this in 1969, it's blowing my mind. And then in the documentary, Bill Cosby's talking about the image of Black men, and how the image of Black men is we were scared, and Black women were strong with Aunt Jemima. And he would show this in his film, the documentary. And he showed one where Black men were so afraid they turned white when they got fearful, white. So he showed that. He showed Birth of a Nation. This was so profound to me in 1969 that I was hooked. I was hooked off of Bill Cosby, Lost, Stolen, and Strayed.
Yeah.
And from that point, I stayed.
Let me ask you this: did you? So as a result of that, okay, how about this? And I've said this to people before. I grew up in the North. I grew up in Detroit. Everybody, that's my beautiful hometown and whatnot. And I never really faced any racial stuff. But I'm growing up in the '60s. But if a guy called me a nigga, I'd probably look at him and say, man, I probably make more money than you. I got more education. How you figure I'm a nigga and you not? And maybe just kind of walk away and not take it like such an insult, but maybe of his stupidity. If that ever happened, what would have been your response?
Well, you got to remember, I was an athlete. So, you know, you're a competitive athlete, you hear all kind of things. So even as a young man, if I heard those things, I first did reply like, what is a nigga? Give me the definition.
There you go.
And when they couldn't give me a definition of a nigga, even when I was 9 years old, I would say something like, well, go back to your mom and dad and tell them to explain to you what a nigga is.
There you go. I love it.
Then come back to me. And I'm sure it happened many times. And what I found out then is that when they went back to their parents and asked them about a nigga, it made their parents think about what they were growing up at the same time.
That's right.
So I found out when I went back to school the next day, that kid that said nigga never had a reply for me because he knew the reply his parents told him wasn't the reply he wanted to bring back to me. Yeah. Good, bad, or indifferent.
Is there a Black history story in Louisville that you know of? I know, like just the other day, I interviewed the lady who runs the Western Branch Library, which is the first library branch ran by a completely African-American staff. Is there other stories in Louisville, one that you know of?
Yeah.
Black history.
There's plenty of history stories in Louisville. That's the reason I did the museum.
Exactly.
Because those are role models I grew up with. You know, society didn't show us role models, communities did. So Louisville's always had, I mean, we had Fred Stoner who trained Muhammad Ali. We had, I lived in a neighborhood in Montclair in my high school year, but we had Muhammad Ali's mom and Jimmy Ellis living in the same neighborhood.
Now, so Jimmy Ellis is who? Who was that?
Jimmy Ellis was a world champion right behind Muhammad Ali. He's from Louisville, Kentucky, heavyweight champ, Jimmy Ellis. So we had two heavyweight champions in my neighborhood when I was in high school. They would come to the neighborhood and ride on mini bikes, you know, because I had moved to a neighborhood that was pretty influential, can't get the word out, can't get it out. Yeah. But anyway, a pretty successful neighborhood where we had Black doctors and lawyers. And Muhammad Ali's mom, he bought her first house there. And then Jimmy Ellis, like I said, who was a heavyweight champ, who lost his title to Joe Frazier. Jimmy Ellis lived around the corner. So we had two heavyweight champions in our neighborhood. And when you just talk about the pride in Louisville, we have Wes Unseld. You know, Wes Unseld was the first player that was an NBA champion and a rookie of the year at the same year, played at University of Louisville, first Black player at University of Louisville to reach All-American honors. So, you know, there's so much history in Louisville. If you know, take one story, it's probably several stories, but when I came up in high school was doing desegregation. That's when they had busing, what they called busing in 1974, 75, my sophomore year, junior year in high school. And that was my biggest test with hate and evil, was going to school and the same kids you played football with will be outside protesting with crosses. And then you go on a football.
Hold on. You got me there. You saw that?
Oh, yeah. And 74, 75 at Fern Creek High School, I had guys that actually played with me, would be outside with their dads burning crosses before school started because Black kids were getting bussed out to the county. So, yeah, I saw that. And I just didn't see it. I played with it because those same kids came to football practice, right?
Now, hold on. This don't make no sense to me. Yeah. And you could probably, you'll get where I'm coming from. Yeah. If you love the Lord, why you burn a cross?
Yeah.
I could have figured you burn a circle or something, but you burn a cross? What is that, to scare me? You burning the cross?
Well, I think it was a scare tactic because they, you know, when we came to America, they used religion as a scare tactic anyway. Yeah. So if religion is a scare tactic, why not use a symbol of the religion I'm teaching you as to put fear in you at the same time? Because that was a controlling figure of the Black man. Yeah. Well, that's why. If I can, you gonna burn because well, just think about it. If I'm putting the knowledge to you and the fear to you at the same time, first I'm telling you be an obedient servant so you can go to heaven.
Right.
And then I'm telling you God can punish you if you're not a good servant.
Right.
Then I can scare you the hell out of you if I just put a cross in front of you and catch it on fire. Because your whole life is determined that you're gonna live your hell in the inferno if you don't do what I said do. Yeah. So it ties up subconsciously
Oh, I got you. I got you. Yeah, you helping me.
Yeah, that's a easy connection.
Yeah. Now, the museum you have, when did you start it? And, kind of how did you start it?
Well, I've always collected. And then about 2 years ago, I decided that I was going to do a museum that the public could see. I started collecting probably when I was 13 years old. My mother was a manager at the Armed Force Examination Center, and that's when people used to get drafted. So when guys like Muhammad Ali, Cassius Clay at the time, would come down there and go through the draft procedure. Matter of fact, I got an autograph of his when he came to be drafted and refused to go in the draft. So I would get black athletes, I get white athletes, but being an athlete, I kept them. And once I did that, I had an uncle that passed away that died and had a scrapbook with Statue Page and Josh Gibson. And it was off and running after that. Was in my blood that I wanted to keep our history, because I noticed how much white people kept their history and how many black people threw our history away. I had a great great-great-grandmother, Bum Bum, that was a slave during the time, and talked about her time in Tennessee and Jesse James coming through town. And I remember her passing away, and I remember people throwing the stuff out the window in her house before they moved. Nobody kept the history. Now I'm like 10 or 12, and I'm going like, why are we not keeping these pictures that Bum Bum's got? Why are we not keeping the old antiques she's got? And I remember a cousin saying, because nobody wants this old stuff. And at 10 or 12 years old, something's wrong with this picture. Yeah. So when I'm living in a white neighborhood and their aunties die or mama die, I see people taking stuff home, collecting.
I love it, brother. I love it.
Yeah. They're collecting stuff, and we're throwing our stuff away. Yeah. And something was wrong with that. Even when I was a kid, that was wrong. That you had to throw our history away so you could run a Sears and Roebuck and buy a new couch. And Big Mom was taking all her life savings about the same couch using it at Sears. So that's what I learned at a young age, is that we did not treasure our history and make our history artifacts from what people did. We made our history junk and we threw it away on the corner.
So you decide to start the museum, and then you get a building.
Yes, yeah. And the ironic thing like that is that I'm a businessman, and why would I start a nonprofit as a business? That was an oxymoron. And
I got you.
Investment, and you do it as a nonprofit where you're sharing with the community. But I felt more at ease doing that than any business deal I've done in the past. And I just thought it was a ministry to do. And then to start it, and then you had COVID hit right in the middle of it. We were ranked top 20 museums in the world by Architect Digest to open for 2020. Never get open because of COVID. You know what I mean?
Wow.
But like most Black businesses, I did it off of faith and not finances.
Yeah,
and
I love
it. Faith over finances, it all works. If you keep the main thing, and keep God as the main thing, it works out. And it has worked out. I mean, facility we got now is 10,500 square feet.
10,000?
Yeah, we've been featured in probably every major publication in the country. We've had people like Nick Cannon. I've had, I had one just like, he was the original Panther, Black Panther, along with Stokely Carmichael and all of them. I'm looking right at him, but I just can't think of his name.
Okay,
he was here, and he sit me down and just said, "Hey, man, I love what you're doing, and keep the faith and keep the message, and that's what I've been."
What kind of stuff do you have? What kind of exhibits do you have there?
Oh man, I have everything. I have my favorite exhibit is called Big Mama's House, and people say, "Why you have Big Mama's House?" Because historically, Big Mama's is who told us our history. It's Big Mama that wrote it in a book or put it on the wall. So when you go in Big Mama's house at my museum, you have the couch that Big Mama had, you have the mirror behind the couch, and you have pictures all around the room, and the pictures are not straight, they're crooked, right? But the purpose of Big Mama's pictures was to let you know the family that you came from and the people that had achieved things in America. So when you went to Big Mama's house, you took a history lesson, as in everybody's Big Mama. That's Uncle Charles in St. Louis. That's Uncle Louis over there in the Army. And that's what this room does. And it just ignites, especially people over 50 years old, because we had Big Mamas. We had that Big Mama.
We got plastic over the sofa.
You got it. You got that. We got the white Jesus on the wall.
Yeah, there you go.
We got the hard candy as you come into the TV set that you got to get up and change. So it's a flashback, but it's a flashback in the sense of what kept Black families together. And at unit, if it was a Big Mama, there was a Big Daddy, you know what I mean? So it went together, you know, Big Mama had a husband, and husbands went out there and worked every day.
Yeah,
so it's a flashback for people over 50, and it's a memory that young people never had, but they understand it when they see it, you know what I mean? So
I got you.
So Forge Magazine came in, and the guy from Forge Magazine called it the most innovative exhibit in the country.
Really?
He called it in the country. He said that it was an exhibit that took his whiteness and everything that he thought was history and just replaced it with family and Black family and the strength of Black family.
Do you have and it's always sad, some of the more negative Black history moments? You know what I mean? Do you have like the Emmett Till pictures and that kind of thing?
What I have,
excuse me, everybody, for saying negative, but I think you get my drift.
Yeah, and I do have, and it is negative because, you know, the trauma of Black America is negative. You know, we shouldn't have to go through what we went through. You know, now, and I answer your question, but the new thing I hear in Louisville since the rescue money's coming out, white people are now saying reimagine America. Well, we shouldn't have to reimagine America. We just want America to be what it's supposed to be to us, right?
Yes, there you go.
So I'm not about to reimagine America. I'm about imagining America. But to answer your question, I have negative images, derogatory images, because that's what I saw when I was a kid. I saw the Anti-Mammy dolls. I saw the Black face. So in spite of that, I still became what I am today. So I preach and show negativity because Black people came from negativity and we were excellent in the process.
There you go. Tell me.
When we're excellent during the process, you have to show it, because if our kids can see what we came through in spite of the negativity that we had to fight to find out who we were as men, what could they do, right? So I show the negative, I show the Mammy dolls. I have slave, and when you come in the museum, when you come in, I have the African experience. And what happens is you see all these sculptures, Benin century, from Nigeria, from Ghana, from Goree Island, and I have all these statues, some 14 feet high. They're all bronze, metal, and you don't see that in museums. Black kids don't see themselves before slavery. And when you come to my museum, you walking through Africa, man, and you seeing stuff we did long before the Europeans. And that's why people come to the museum and it blows them away. Because when you walk through Africa, then I have coming to America. I mean, you come to America, guess where you're coming? You're coming through change. You're coming through negativity. And matter of fact, my community director just brought in the change. Here's some of the change you see. These are over 400 years old from Ghana. So that's what you see when you come into America. You see a mural of Strange Fruit, Billie Holiday's song. So you see Black people hanging, and then you see the change of what we were carried through and what we had to carry through to get through, right? Kids, and before they come in there, they hold the chains.
How about this? I got two questions, and I got them. Okay. One is, when you said Aunt Jemima and stuff like that, and you know, there's been a movement in the last year or so where they took Uncle Ben's name off the rice and Aunt Jemima. I really didn't think I needed that. I have his name off the rice, because that to me was like, I thought it was a Black man's rice. Or Aunt Jemima or something. I didn't get nothing. Is that a negative connotation in layman's terms?
Here's what I do with this, what you said. I have that in my exhibit, and what I use it as a teaching tool, because America has always been okay with people being in front of the can, but they're not okay with us owning the can. So it becomes a teaching tool with the young people. For me, is that I can show Nike shoes. It ain't about Nike, it's about owning Nike. So I can take that negative that we've been living with for 400 years and make it positive, because I challenge young people to change that, what they see. You know, so if they see a box that sits up called nigger hair on it by a company that had chewing tobacco, said nigger hair. So when the young people come in, you know, of course, white people kind of like, oh, what I see, but young black kids see it and they see nigger hair on this box. It was a chewing tobacco.
Oh, that's a real deal. That's a real thing.
Real deal, yeah. So they're seeing it. And when they see it, they look like, wow, nigger hair, and upset about it.
Yeah, sure.
So this is my opportunity to teach. Okay, you upset about this image that America has shown about you, but you're still allowing the same image today through your music, your movies, and your videos. So what are you gonna do about that image now? Don't worry about what happened 200 years ago in the 1940s.
Yeah, okay, I got you.
What are you doing with the word now? So it's a way to engage them about our history and engage them to change our history. And it's about the narrative.
That leads to my next question. How about this one? I was in Montgomery, Alabama, and I went by the Lynching Museum. You familiar with that, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
I couldn't go in. And I couldn't go in because I'm all this positive thing. And to hear and to see the names of the people lynched, I don't know what that would do for me. Mm-hmm. And also the other thing that I was moved by this is that I saw a bunch of white kids, on the tour going into the museum. And I don't know if, and you said you taught this, but I don't know if they got the point of what he was trying to make so clearly, because they know of black kids in their school or what have you who have gone to prison, mm-hmm. who've gone to jails, who mm-hmm. wear orange prison garb and mm-hmm. talk about it. And they see it in the music. So I don't know if they get the point that he's trying to say it's the injustices of us all, or this is just what have been happening over years, and this is the way it should be. Mm-hmm. You follow me?
I follow your question.
And so I don't know how well do they get it, that the point I'm trying to make is there's the injustices and all these other things that should not be happening. Mm-hmm. The overabundance of all this happening to black people.
Right. But I think at least I feel, we have Breonna Taylor here, right? And we even have a Breonna Taylor memorial within my museum. But here's what I see.
Now, who was that?
Breonna Taylor. Breonna Taylor was the one that was killed by.
Oh, yeah. I got you.
Okay, so we have Breonna Taylor here. So, I got you. So what I've witnessed during that time is that I seen more white kids protesting than black kids someday. So They gave me hope that these white kids don't want the America that we have now. They want a more equal America, more justice in America. And these white kids out there marching, I tell you one march, this one particular group told the white kids to get up front. So if the police start shooting, they get shot first. And I seen the white kids get up front. And I'm going like, you couldn't tell me get up front. But you know what I mean? So
I got you.
They're committed to what's going on. And when I saw that commitment, and what we use the word allies now, but we don't have a Lever Beaver family anymore. It's not no Lever Beaver. Lever the Beaver families now has Willie at the table and Leroy at the table. So what happened is now that family's changing, that dynamic of that family's changing. And when you fall in love with Leroy or Willie, then you love everybody that looks like Willie, and because you have a natural relationship with Willie now. So if Willie's all right, somebody else like Willie's all right too. So I think with the browning of America, with Trump and all the things we see now, we know that hatred is still around. So I'm not going to act like it's a utopia, because it's not. But I think there's progress. I have an exhibit called Protest to Progress. Yeah. And the reason I say protest to progress is that in the Black community, it was protest that got us progress, right?
Yeah.
So when I walk through downtown and talk to kids about Breonna Taylor, about our memorial here, I can talk about it because the history of what we went through started with protests. So we can't let white America say all of a sudden protest doesn't work, because that's the only thing white America understood about us, is that we would protest to change things. So I think we're just at a beautiful place in time that people will get it. I mean, you know, even though we're seeing critical race theory trying to be passed, even seeing, you know, but if you think about historically, Texas has always been a problem. Historically, Atlanta, you know, Georgia's been a problem. Florida's been a problem for Black people. And then, but historically, if you just take Georgia, for instance, during Reconstruction period, when Blacks started to be representing government, like in South Carolina, places like that. You remember they had a movie called Birth of a Nation. And in Birth of a Nation, they showed these Black men voting and cheating while they were voting. So America already put the theory that if Black people succeeded, we were cheating in the ballot box, right? So when you break history down and you can go back and rewrite that story, we got some powerful brothers and sisters, because these brothers and sisters ain't going back to what it used to be. I guarantee you that. The day of that brother turning another cheek, them days is over. And when I'm out there and I'm talking to these young people, it ain't centered like it was centered in the 60s. They're not centered on Jesus Christ, and they're not centered on the spirituality of the march. They're centered on accomplishments of the march.
I love it.
That's a total different walk, man. I mean, it's a walk even as an older gentleman that I have to back up on, because the fire is different than the fire that I've known, right? But I understand the results of what they're trying to do. You know, they're not coming to the table just to eat. They're coming to the table to change the menu. You know, and too many brothers our age was coming just to eat at the table.
That was one of the things that they said, that if Dr. King would have said, okay, y'all can have that bus service, we're going to start our own, that would have changed maybe our line of thinking. Yeah.
But I think nowadays, these young kids, even the rap stars who I'm critical of the words they use, but their philosophy of ownership is the right thing. Own your record, own what you're doing, own your narrative. And that's what I do at the museum. I teach kids to own their own narrative and tell their own story.
I love it. So now where's the museum located in Louisville? Is it downtown, in the neighborhood, that kind of thing?
Well, that's another thing. We're right down by the river. We're right down where the brothers escaped to freedom over to Indiana. Matter of fact, just a block and a half from my museum is the place where slaves were marched down to the river. I'm just a block away. So I'm at 124 North 1st Street, right beside the expressway, right beside Presbyterian headquarters, right between Humana headquarters, right across from Humana Park and the Riverfront Park. So God he placed us where we need to be.
Well, now tell that story. What happened? The brothers used to do what there?
They had right a block over, there was a slave pen in Louisville where slaves were stored right there and marched down toward the river to be sold into freedom. I mean, sold into slavery. Okay. Because Kentucky, people don't realize Kentucky was what you call a breeder state. We had tobacco, but we didn't have big plantations with 4,000 or 5,000 Black people working, or 100. Right. 200. We were a breeding state, which means we breeded Black people. Think about that. Whoa. We breeded Black people to sell them all over the United States. That's the history of Kentucky. And so many people became millionaires at that time from selling people that looked like me and you. So we were a breeding state. A lot of border states that wasn't northern or southern states during the Civil War, border states. Kentucky was a border state. So we were known to send people down to what they call down the river historically. And going down the river is when you go into places, the sugarcane places, New Orleans or Mississippi. That's the whole thing about going down river. That really originated from border states like Kentucky, because the slaves, even though it was brutal here, it was more brutal when you had to work 7 days a week, which they worked here too. No question. But just think of the brutality of just leaving your family and getting separated. Yeah, no question. It came from this region. This region is the region that came up with going down river.
As we kind of come to a close, but the other thing that you said about that, it was also a site where they escaped.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, but see, people don't realize. Okay, so Kentucky is right across from Indiana, which was a free state. Okay. And it was decided if you got to the other side of the river, you still wasn't free because they had slave troopers and slave codes to go get you, but you would go over to Indiana side. But another thing about Kentucky, we had a large number of free Black people in Kentucky. Okay, so those free Black people, a lot of them were Freemasons or Masons, and they would help escape Black people that came on the riverboat that would come down the Ohio River and bring the cotton and bring all the supplies. A lot of times brothers was taking them off those boats and escaping them over to Indiana. So, you know, Kentucky didn't have no punks. We had some brothers that were doing some things at that time. Yeah.
Kentucky there you go. I love it. Yeah. What you got coming up for the, y'all have like a festival at the museum?
We're working on that.
Like a Juneteenth or something like that?
Yeah, we're working on that now. Now, I will tell you what I got going on. On August the 20th, I have Sarah Collins Rudolph, which was the young lady that survived the Birmingham bombing. You know, it was 4 young girls at Paris.
Yeah.
The 5th girl survived. And she's the 5th survivor. She'll be coming to Roots 101 August the 20th, and we'll tell her story. You know, a lot of people talk about healing and redemption, but you're talking about a sister that was 13-year-old that lost a sister in the bombing,
right?
Lost an eye in the middle of the bombing, but became, instead of bitter, she became better. She's done everything to try to keep things in peace and harmony in her life. Just think about it. She got no compensation. The men that bombed her sister and killed her friends didn't get prosecuted to 30 years later.
Yeah, that's right.
And in spite of that, she's still surviving and still talking about it. And when we talked, she said, when it happened for years, they told her to forget about it. Nobody came and did interviews with her every year.
Yeah.
They flat told that young lady to forget about it. For 25 years, she's walked around with that story before she ever could talk about it publicly because nobody wanted to hear that story.
Oh my God.
Can you imagine that?
Unbelievable. And so what's the website for the museum? How do people stay in touch and send donations and all that? I know y'all want some money.
That matters because, you know, as much as we've accomplished, we still haven't got city dollars. And that's probably consistent to the state of Kentucky. You know, we're the 5th most segregated city in the country. And that's a fact. And I'm sure it was done by purpose, but we're the 5th most segregated city in the country. 5th or 4th. I think we raised up to 4th, right? We're going up the top. So, our website is www.roots- like the -101.org.
All right.
It's www.roots-101.org. When you go on our site, if you go up to donations, click your donation, it'll take you to Cash App or it'll take you to GoFundMe. Our Cash App is Roots 101 AAM. Roots 101 AAM is our Cash App. Yep. And our donation, just go to the website and get the donation. But, you know, it's like a FUBU, you know, for us, by us. When kids come in here, I tell the kids I say Roots 101 and they say our house. Roots 101, they say our house. So you got young kids walking out saying our house, you made a profound change.
You made a difference. I love it, my brother. So now, is there a question that I have not asked you, something that you had thought that you wanted to say per se? Of any note?
Just share the story, share what we're doing. Like I said, we're a museum everybody can be proud of.
Yeah.
A museum that we have Black people on our board of directors, understanding that it's about us and for us, and we don't need approval to tell our story.
I love it.
And we're going to tell our story, and we're not stepping out doing that. Man,
I thank you so very much for coming on the channel and sharing this with us, for being who you are. Shoot, man. I like that, man. I like that, brother.
You know what I tell kids before we go is that we're the descendants of kings and queens that were enslaved in America. And that's why I let kids walk out with legacies matter. And we were the bulldozers for bulldozers. We were the jackhammers for jackhammers. And we were the engineers before engineering degrees. We built this place.
That's our closing remark there, everybody. So to you, my brother, I say I really thank you for being on the channel. And with all sincerity, I want you to stay strong, stay safe, stay on your grind. I love what you're doing, educating the people of Louisville, the people who come from out of town to come there, and them young adults, making them smarter and inspiring them. That's a beautiful thing. We're going to come down. We're going to post this. We're going to let everybody know about you. And I'm coming through Louisville. I like Louisville. I've been there a couple of times, had a showing of my movie at that Western Branch Library, which was fabulous. And so, hey, man, just keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you, man.
Keep doing what you're doing. This your calling, brother.
Well, thank you.
This your calling, man. I really appreciate that. So, hey, everybody, we out. This is what we do with Strong Inspirations. Go down there and support that museum. All right, everybody. Thanks again.
All right. Be
Peace.
blessed.
Yeah.
Be blessed.
Much love.